It's thinking about something. There you are.
There I is.
You're up and live. What is this? What is this S I'm seeing?
You're seeing a joke. You can turn it on the website now.
What is this freaking Lala nonsense?
It's Lala Fair.
What is it?
Everyone in the FC changed their character to a Lalafell for a day. I just left it. All right.
There. Front page is updated. It will update shortly. With Mike unleashes his inner Lala. What are you doing?
What's what doing?
I hate that shit. I freaking hate Adobe Flash and Shockwave and all that.
Alright. So, we're up on the site, yes?
Yeah. I mean, it'll refresh here shortly, but
okay.
We're going.
Alright, so this is Final Fantasy XIV. It's an MMO. MMO.
What is this thing I'm seeing?
It's a video game.
No. Nope. Nope.
No.
There's this little creature on my
this
screen.
Little creature. Well, maybe I could make the little creature slightly more appealing for you. If you give me a moment.
Better.
Alright. So, here we go. Does that help?
What are you doing? What are we doing here? What's happening?
Oh, okay. So the latest patch for Final Fantasy XIV added a dungeon that is called the Palace of the Dead, colloquially known as the Deep Dungeon. And it's a roguelike.
Isn't there already a deep dungeon? No.
No.
I mean, there's Mara Deep or something like that.
Well, there's... Oh, jeez. You're asking me to remember random names of dungeons on this?
Yes, I am. This is the game that you're showing off.
let me start over. So, Final Fantasy XIV is a traditional Holy Trinity MMO where players get tanks, healers, and DPS, form a party, and go on. And that's pretty harsh locked restriction to most content unless you take a couple extra steps to disable it. The Palace of the Dead is a repeatable dungeon that has you going in and starting as a level 1 character.
So regardless of whatever your progress is in the game.
Yeah, so my Black Mage right now is level 49, but when I enter the Palace of the Dead, I'm going to be level 1.
Okay.
So, and the nice thing about the Palace of the Dead is it's completely soloable. It's hard to solo later on, but the early floors are pretty easy. So, we're going to go in solo. Because I couldn't get Jason to re-up his subscription.
Hey, man.
This is available from level 17. So if you've played the game basically for about 3 or 4 hours, you'll have a character that is able to enter the Palace of the Dead. And you'll see that it's saying that this uses an independent leveling system. It also uses an independent gear system.
Yeah, so there's two things I was going to ask you about. One is the gear that you're going to use in this. The second is the skill set, because one of the things in this game is as you gain levels, you get your skills.
Right.
So is it similar here that they'll unlock the same skills when you hit the appropriate level in the dungeon?
Yep, that's how it works.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a little framey because I'm streaming here. But you'll see I just got a Pomander of Steel. So what happens is you can use potions in this dungeon, you can use your normal abilities. I have this character leveled up quite a ways, so the abilities I already had on my hotbar for it are going to appear here. But right now I'm just restricted to my Fire and Ice spell. Up here...
No Pomander of Steel, I'm a Dapper Dan man!
Yeah, so you can use these consumable items to do various things. The dungeon floors are randomized. There's 50 floors right now. There are traps on the floor. There's instant death mechanics and all kinds of fun stuff.
Nice.
So we're just gonna... I think I'll probably run through the first 10 floors and kind of chat about how it's going.
Sure. So one of the things, yes, as Mike said, I've played this game some, and I'll fill in some details too while he's fighting, but the Black Mage class largely revolves around their Fire and Ice spells, and they get the little buff that you see there that occasionally pops up, that plus Astral Fire or Umbral Ice whenever he switches. They have different effects, so the Umbral Ice, if I remember correctly, lets you regenerate mana faster.
It lets you regenerate mana, period. You don't regenerate mana if you have the Fire buff up.
And then the Fire just does more damage, but it also causes your spells to use more mana as a result, so you kind of have to keep switching back and forth between them to balance all of that. So it's a pretty neat little mechanic.
So you see, there's treasure chests here.
Sure.
And you also may notice I'm already level 4.
You're murdering the Death Mouse, which is my second favorite new metal band.
Yes. So the kind of the way you do this is you explore each floor as fully as you can, which gives you Pomanders, which are nice.
Are there, and I missed that before. Those are one-use items, or are those like?
They're one use, so they will cast a. The Steel one will cast an 8-minute buff on me, where I take 40% less damage.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here... so treasure chests can be rigged to explode, so you kind of want to be at full health. This Pomander of Sight, if I used it, it'll...
See if it's a mimic.
Well, there's mimics later. Oh! Enemies also respawn very quickly, which they don't do in normal dungeons. So you'll be running around. I have fully explored this floor, so I'm going to move on. This Pomander of Sight would reveal the map, show me where all of the traps, like the one I just stepped in, are. And so the traps would be on the ground in red.
Nice. Nice.
So we will go here. And in true roguelike fashion, I will lose all of my progress if I die.
Sure.
Every 10 floors, you can get a checkpoint and save. One of the other mechanics, these Ether Pool arm and armors.
Mm-hmm.
They are basically your gear for the dungeon. So these are bronze chests. There are silver chests that you'll see. Opening a silver chest gives a chance to upgrade one of your arms, one of your pieces of armor. Okay. So you'll either get a weapon upgrade or an armor upgrade.
Now, let's talk big rewards here. Do you have to complete the entire thing, all 50 levels, to get anything out of this? Do you get anything along the way for hitting certain milestones?
So you'll get... So it's a little tricky. So if you are going through as a character below level 50, you'll just get experience for clearing the 10 floors. If you go on a character above level 50 where you're able to earn basically what are called tomestones. They're tokens in this game to trade in for higher level pieces of armor. You'll get those in addition for every 10 floors you clear, but only...
Okay.
My character entered as a real world level 49, so
you're just under that threshold.
Yeah, so I'll get experience towards my next level, but I'm not going to get anything fancy.
Gotcha.
Additionally, if you level both of your ether pool arms to 30, you can trade them in for a extremely high level weapon, which reverts the progress of your weapons back to 1. And then you can roll through the dungeon again. These are actually persistent through your run. So anytime I come into Palace of the Dead, as long as I haven't turned these in, they will be whatever level I left them at.
Okay, interesting. So that's just kind of the way to get you something out of all this.
So here's a silver coffer. We'll see if it blows up or not. So that would have been a weapon upgrade, but you can only really upgrade your gear on floors that are higher than the level of your weapon. So I just got hit by a trap here. So I actually am completely silenced right now. So if I was fighting in that room and I walked across that, I would not be very happy.
Yeah, silence doesn't work well for mages. They kind of need to...
No, I can't cast any of my abilities right now.
Kamehameha in order to make their magic go.
Yeah.
So you have to hit floor, 14 for your armor and 18 for your arms in order for them to start leveling up?
It's extremely... Basically, you have an extremely low chance of leveling up a weapon if you're on a floor lower than its level.
Okay.
So once I get a little higher, like if I get on floor 9, I might have a chance of upgrading my armor, but it's very unlikely.
Gotcha. See, we have a couple folks in chat, so if you do have any questions, feel free to send them this way. And
I apologize for soloing this.
Yeah, I mean, Nick had to go away on business. Locke's probably out in the woods somewhere, killing real-life antelope and harvesting their meats. Actually, he probably doesn't do that. He just drinks wine and plays board games, which I can't fault him for either.
It's true.
This is a pay-per-month MMO, which I played for a while and really liked, but not currently in the budget for things, so my sub is not up at the moment. One of these days.
I'll get you back.
Yeah, you will. I mean, this is pretty cool. I like, we were talking in staff chat some about this, kind of like the idea that it's a raid dungeon or what have you, in-game content. If you can't do any of the raid stuff because, if you're not in a guild or you just don't have a large group of friends, because the raid dungeons go up to 64 or something like that?
Well, no, they're gated by item level, so you'll get to level 60, and then the dungeons will have a requirement for your gear to be at a certain level.
Right, but I just mean the number of players in it.
Oh, the maximum raid size is 24.
24, so that's 2 groups of 12.
That is 3 groups of 8.
That's also 3 groups of 8. It's also 4 groups of 6.
It is. Those are called most raid content in this game is 8-player with a preformed party. The Alliance raids are 24-man, and you still actually only enter as a group of 8, and you get matched with 2 other groups of 8. Or you can just queue up for it and get tossed in one of those groups if they queued up with a shortage of players.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
To get a good group and one that doesn't yell at you and stuff.
Generally, the community for this game is really good. You'll find like any game, you'll find your share of jerks, but there's something about the fact that this game is like really focused on aesthetics. Like there's there's a lot of role-playing opportunities.
Yeah.
And ways to make your character look cool that attracts kind of a more casual crowd, I'll say. So it's not a huge try-hard player base, I guess.
That's always nice.
Okay,
A
so
little bit more welcoming.
here is another silver treasure coffer, so we'll see if I get anything cool here.
Fingers crossed.
Whoops, and I still don't have Scathe, because... So yeah, the accelerated leveling works in a really interesting way. So you can enter... So that would have been an armor upgrade. So you can enter as a base class or the upgraded job version of a class. So if you enter as the base class, so a black mage starts as what's called a thaumaturge in this game.
I was trying to remember the name of it.
And so if I entered as a thaumaturge, I would still be able to come in here and do just fine, but it would only give me abilities that the base class could get.
Sure, that makes sense.
So I wouldn't get, like Fire 4, Enochian, or any of the like really high level abilities that a black mage will eventually get. But entering as a base class is actually somewhat advantageous if you're a solo player, because base classes have a wider array of cross-class abilities they can grab from other classes they've leveled. Yeah. So I could be a thaumaturge and have access to cure and some other spells. So people are, this hasn't even been out a week yet, and people are still kind of putting together the ideal way to solo it. Right now the class to be is a summoner.
Of course, you get a pet.
Yeah, so you'll be a summoner, and you solo the Palace of the Dead. You have a pet that gives you some healing utility, tanking utility.
Yeah, that's my jams.
Yeah. Okay, so here, this floor reduced my maximum HP. So I'm going to go ahead and use this Pomander of Steel to increase my defense, just in case. And,
it's all big, nasty red.
I'm going to up my damage, too.
Are there boss floors or anything like that?
The 10th floor will be a boss.
So they make you go a ways before you have to... Feels like, I don't know. How does that feel as far as the length of things? Because almost seems like it takes, depending on the class you play, but a little bit of time just to get to 5 floors.
Well, you have an hour to complete every 10 floors. You can go in as a full party or any combination of players. There's no restriction on... Oh, there we go. So enemies will sometimes spawn behind you, which is nice.
Oh, lost goblin. Well, I mean, he was lost, so...
Yeah. The other thing, so you saw some of the traps earlier where like a landmine will appear on the floor. Some of the traps actually surround you with enemies, so they'll put like 3 or 4 enemies around you and instantly attack. You'll notice I can kind of pick these off at my leisure.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they don't have like group aggros.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is most enemies in here actually have a some kind of status effect they'll put on you. Let's see.
Oh, like poison or stun or something?
Yeah, there's enemies later on that will kill you in one hit if you let them get an ability off. There's ones that'll silence you. Is there a chest in here? There it is.
Have you found it better to go with the DPS class over like one of the tanks or even like the armored DPS or whatever?
I've tried a few classes. I think for doing the first couple like doing solo in the first set of floors, Black Mage is probably the best one I've gotten, just because they can kill everything in, you know, a real quick succession, and there's not really much I'm going to have to worry about in terms of like damage output. Okay, so
What about, have you gone into this with a group?
oh yeah.
What is it like? How does it compare? More enemies, bigger floors?
See, the further you get along, the more complex it gets. The first 10 are real simple, like this. They eventually, like, the floors eventually have 2 to 3 times as many rooms in them. So it starts becoming a bit of a time management. So you'll want to kill as much as possible, because you have to gain levels to keep up with the... let's see, I'll reveal my map here. And that'll also show any traps on the ground. Eventually you'll want to, like, kill enough enemies to gain levels, explore enough of the map to find where the treasure chests are. You'll see right here there's a trap on the ground. I believe that's a landmine. It actually displays the icon of the trap.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you can see that.
Can the thief class disarm it?
No, there's nothing like that in it.
What kind of RPG is this?
Yeah, so kind of to critique it a little bit, the floors aren't exactly terribly interesting until probably the third set of them, where you'll get a lot of you'll get wandering enemies that can come in and, like, silence your healers, or otherwise do, like, big AoE. There's certain enemies that if you let them get an attack off, they will just instantly kill everybody within 20 yards.
Is it like a slow charge attack that you can see and have time to...
Yeah, and sometimes you can interrupt it with a well-timed stun. Others can't, and it's dependent on the enemy.
Is it so? It's just like a DPS check if you can get enough damage onto it before it pops.
Less DPS check and more your group's paying attention, because nothing in here is particularly slow or hard to kill.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's very... One of the things, like, as I got towards the end there, or, I mean, after I hit level 50, just seemed, yeah, there was still some main quests and stuff to go through and do, but it just seemed like everything was pretty much run different, you know, the advanced versions of the dungeons, some of which were pretty fun, like, so the dungeons that you play as you're leveling up and stuff, you now play the advanced versions that change up, you know, the monsters and the tactics and stuff like that. Which I kind of got as a way to prepare you for the bigger raids and group content, but so much of that being focused on, you know, once Heaven's Word came out and you could hit level 60 and people were getting higher level gear, people were just running through the old level dungeons, and that's where you get a lot of you get a lot more attitude of people just like run, hurry up, I just want to get this done because I'm doing it for duty finder or whatever. And it's just like, hey,
okay, so this guy, he has a one-hit kill mechanic called Final Sting, so I'm gonna want to kill him before he gets his 4th auto attack off. And that's not really a problem, but sometimes you'll get a group of like 3 or 4 of those and it gets a little tricky. We'll get through this floor pretty quick.
Yeah, so anyways, this looks like a nice way to mix things up a bit.
Yeah, and it's got kind of a weird progression system. You have 2 save slots. Alright, so you see this guy put a physical debuff on me, so anything that punches me is going to do a lot more damage.
That was rude.
What a jerk, right?
Yeah. And of course, a wandering goblin shows up.
Of course.
Of course.
So, I think we're on floor... Is this floor 9? Floor 8. Okay.
8, yeah.
So let's say...
Geotech is pointing out in chat, your odds of hand trap are much less if you run along the side.
Yep. It is true. Let's see, and we'll increase the treasure
Mike's
coffers
never
on
been
the
one
next floor.
for doing that, though. He's charged straight ahead.
The traps aren't too bad. I do have these Pomanders of Witching, so if I hit a trap that actually like spawns enemies on me, I can pop that and turn them all into toads and then AoE them to death. But yeah, generally, especially in later floors, you'll actually want to send people in kind of alone into some of the rooms that you creep in the door, you see there's a chest in, and you'll send someone to run along the edges and grab the treasure chest and sneak out so you avoid some of the combat. Because the time limit does start getting kind of tight later on, as there's more enemies to deal with. Oh, I'm a terrible black mage. I'm casting ice spells.
I mean, you're so used to sword and board.
Oh, I've been playing. I've actually been playing warrior and black mage mostly lately, and I totally didn't grab the chest back here. Why do you make me talk so much?
Because that's the medium.
Oh yeah, that's how you stream. So I don't have like the highest playtime in this game like a lot of people do. So you'll find a lot of people that'll be like, this dungeon isn't particularly exciting. It's too samey in the first 30 floors, and I hear all that. But it's kind of a nice place to just hang out and solo around.
I mean, it seems like it could be how much experience do you get, like, on the base, or on the under 50? Is it like
I'll probably get, if I were to guess, I'd probably get about 180,000 experience for clearing the first 10 floors.
That's not bad.
Yeah. We'll just go to floor 9.
It seems actually like not a bad way to, I mean, there's a lot of grinding for levels in this game, so that seems like not, I mean, particularly for subclasses, like once you get your main.
So they've done a little bit to combat that. They have, I think I even have it equipped on some of my characters. It's called the Brand New Ring. This will be potions. The Brand New Ring actually gives you. Okay, I can just remove all the traps from the floor because I'm gonna reset my progress after this.
What?
Yeah,
you're so
I'm
close.
such
We're almost to a boss.
Such a scrub. I'm going to buff myself so this goes faster. The Brand New Ring actually gives you a 30% experience bonus to battle classes under level 30, which adds up real quick. You can get any class to 30 real fast now.
That's good. Particularly useful, as we were talking about before, about the cross-pollination of abilities and using some of those things in different classes.
Right.
Having to go through and grind some of that stuff just so you can get, this one ability was a bit of a drag.
Oh.
It is the one nice thing about this game that I liked was, you start off, you play a class, say, hey, I'm gonna go do this other thing now. Nothing stops you. There's like no limit on having one character that has level 60 of all the different classes.
Right.
Or level 50 in the main game and 60 with Heaven's Word, but it's kind of it was a nice change from some of the other MMOs that lock in.
Alright, so level 20. So you kind of want to... Basically, you want to get to level 30 by the... Or level 60 by the end of the third set.
Okay.
That's kind of a good benchmark. So right now I'm 20. I'll probably hit 21 after finishing the boss.
So basically 20 levels every 10 levels?
Yeah, for the most part. I might not, depending on if there's a respawn.
It's going to be a little bit of a spoiler here, since not at the boss just yet, but are the bosses taken from the game, or are they new bosses?
They're just kind of big enemies so far.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Not like Destiny style, but they're not... They're not particularly memorable. They might actually be. As a tank main, I'm usually staring at everybody's ankles, so I don't actually recognize what some of the bosses look like.
You used to not stare at their ankles. You used to stare at like their eyeballs.
You know, when I'm tanking Nidhogg, even as when I was an Elysian, I would still be coming up to his kneecaps.
I don't know if I can get behind your Lala as a waifu.
Yeah. Okay, so this guy, I'm actually going to be able to do a pretty good job of soloing him down. Obviously, there's not a tank, so I'm going to have to run around a lot more than a black mage is used to, but that's why we have Scathe and Thunder. And I forget if I actually have Thundercloud yet. Probably don't. But we'll just see how this goes. I also have a ton of potions, so I can actually face tank this guy for a little bit.
Face tank?
Yep.
Cast that fire.
Get the thunder on him.
That's an interesting model.
Yeah. Whoop.
Yeah, it is kind of just.
So this is an AoE that you want to run as far away from as you can.
I mean, most of the times you see things on the ground. You want to get away from them in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't always have that choice. There you go. You got this.
Pop a potion, run away
Go
a bit.
Lala Fair. Go Lala Fair.
It's a lot of this, running around like a moron. If I had a tank here, this would be a little easier. But I just crit the crap out of them, and we should be good. There we go. That's level 21.
Yay.
First set of floors from the Palace of the Dead. Like I said, any character who is level 17 on any of their battle classes or higher can enter here. You don't have to have jobs unlocked. You can enter as base classes. You can enter solo with any combination of players. It'll save your progress. I'll actually show that real quick. So you see right now I'm level 21, and when I hit exit, it's going to spit me out as my actual level.
So there's a chance, if I'm thinking through this correctly, you enter this as level 17 in the real, the main game, and you make it all the way through to the end. You said at the end, well, maybe I'm misremembering this. You said
you can level all the way to 60 in this place if you basically grind it out.
Sure.
So keep going over and over and over and over again. You'll eventually get 60. And I got 142,000 experience, which was good for... Like, I had just hit level 49 on this guy, so I got roughly a third of the level just from running that.
But you said after 50, that's where you get the tomes, and you said there's a high
No,
level
so
weapon.
if I was already level 50 on the class I entered with, I would get tomestones for clearing.
But the high level weapon that you talked about, that only happens once you level up those armors and stuff inside of.
So that's when both of your ether pool pieces of gear reach level 30. They will be exchangeable for a item level 235 weapon for your chosen class. So I could go in this floor. This would continue me through to 11 to 20. Right now, I'm going to hit exit because I want to show you the UI that exists out here. Because this is actually kind of a confusing thing that people sometimes have a hard time wrapping their heads around. So I'll see if I can explain it. So there's a lot of people that group up here and want to do this content right now because it's fresh.
Sure.
Okay. So right now, I can choose to enter the Palace of the Dead, and this slot, this UI should look real familiar, by the way. So this particular slot is the one I just did. So I am saved on floor 11, and as long as I am a black mage with no party members, I can continue. This slot, I'm on floor 41 as a warrior, and I'm level 59. The question marks here, this is what's called a matched party. So this means if I go into floor 41, I can randomly matchmake with 3 other players.
Okay.
41 to 50 is the last set. So I can roll with any number of players. You'll see this tells me my ether pool, weapon, and armor are at 18 and 14 right now. And they need to be 30. So right now, if I wanted to continue either of these, I would have to either queue as a random group as a warrior, or queue solo as a black mage. So you can also reset. So this would be, I would basically delete one of these save files. So my persistent weapon levels won't go away, but I'll have a free save slot to start over.
Okay.
If I wanted to.
Sure.
The other thing you can do, because your save is actually fixed. Like if you enter with a fixed party, like I queue with a couple friends and go in, or I queue solo, that fixes the party you're in, and you can only continue with the same party. But you can disband a fixed party, and what that does is allows you to take the save data and say like on a solo one it's not going to do me anything.
Sure.
But on this one I could, if I had a fixed party here, like I had 3 friends but they all decided they're not going to play for a while and I want to play again but not lose my progress, I can disband the fixed party and then either bring a new party I build inside, continue solo, etc., or I can convert it to a match-made party.
Gotcha.
So that's really the long and short of it. There are 50 floors. I think in the 3.4 or 3.5 patch they're going to add up to floor 200 of it.
Oh, jeez.
So it's something that they are actually, it's kind of basic right now, but I think the foundation to do neat things is there. And if they expand it in some interesting ways, I could see how that would be a really fun piece of content to.
What are they going to do at floor 200? I mean,
that's really the question, right? Like you can get things you can get high-level weapons for finishing floor 50, but it could be that it's just an easier way to level your weapons all the way up, or extra rewards, maybe armor. But here's my beautiful, beautiful main, my paladin.
What?
My Link.
What glamour do you have there?
It's Link. Let's see. Go back to a place that's in the daylight.
Yeah, but that's got to be like on your equipment. That's got to be.
Oh, you want to know what I actually changed?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's actually my level 60 stuff.
You were talking about that aesthetic stuff before.
Yeah. It's some Fashion Souls.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot like Dark Souls in that once you get to a certain point, you don't really care what gear you have as long as it looks cool. But so here's Lala Link. And right now I have an item level of 226. So, you know, a dream hat. This is the upgraded lore armor, glamored to look like a cotton tunic. You know, the gauntlets of fending to goatskin light mitts, some cotton tights. This particular item I'm hovering over is actually from one of the Alliance raids that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And then my upgraded boots augmented to look like little leather shoes. So yeah, that's what I have to show off now. Maybe I could, show off some other stuff in the game later on. Maybe a higher level dungeon or whatnot.
Yeah, you'll get me back in one of these days.
I just got to keep asking.
I mean, don't expect me to go all la with you, but
Well, you're a cat boy. I'm
a cat boy.
I can't ask you to change from the cat boy.
Whisker face.
Whisker face, yes. Oh, and I can go into my private chambers.
I'm not going to ask about what happens in there, but thanks for showing off the new dungeon. That is pretty cool. Like I said, it's for anyone who's stayed away from this game or been kind of interested in it. I think that's a good sort of content for people to do,
Right?
Especially early on. Interesting way to think about it of learning classes, basically, since you get to.
It's actually not so much learning classes as do I actually want to bother leveling this class? Because a lot of the classes don't really come into their own until the mid-40s.
Right.
And it's a really easy way to get there in like an hour and a half and see if this is a class that you actually want to bother leveling. Because nothing beats leveling a class most of the way and then realizing you don't like it anymore.
Right, but I mean, isn't it like by the time you hit level or the floor 30 or whatever, stuff changes? Like, don't they present it in such a way if you're in a group that are there any group mechanics like there are in other dungeons?
There is never a requirement to have anything, so you could queue as 4 DPS and do the entire thing without much of an issue. Because you can bring in potions and things from outside, and the Pomanders help a lot.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Well, thanks for showing that, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll be back next Monday with...
Something.
I guess, actually, it's just possibly going to be you and me again. Nick may be back, in which case we'll find some game for all of us to play. But if not, maybe Mike and I will check out Starbound or some other game that came out recently that I'm forgetting about. But
Some